All right, Junior Board, we're going to go ahead and get started. It's good to see you all here today. Thank you for those of you that were able to make it out to their cleanup on Saturday. That was a lot of fun, and we got the West Manning area cleaned up really nice. So thanks for coming out for that. Also want to thank you guys that were able to help out for the awards dinner. Everyone said you guys did a great job in helping get the meals served, and it was a really wonderful event. So just really want to thank you guys for participating with that. A couple housekeeping things. We are coming to the very end of our program as far as the junior board for this semester. The final meeting will be on May, I think it's 26th. So I'm looking to schedule that at the Reedley Museum. And so we'll have an opportunity to visit the museum, and also I want to do a party. So I'm going to see if we can do a barbecue or something. So we'll make plans for that. So just stay tuned to your emails for that. And anyone who's not here, make sure they know about that and get that on their calendars. We also have quite a few volunteer events. So these weren't listed, but these are opportunities if you do want to participate. I will be sending an email if you do want to help out and you are available. There's quite a few things going on now that things are kind of opening up. So one of the first things we have is the Reedley Cruise Night. That's going to be this Saturday. If you haven't heard, there's going to be like a freestyle cruise through downtown Reedley. People that have like old vehicles or just kind of want to come check out old vehicles can come between 5 and 8 p.m. downtown Reedley. I'm going to have a tent up downtown for the chamber, and I'm going to need some help handing out some kind of like community guides and stuff like that, some promotional stuff. So if you guys are available, I will ask for help on that, and you can go ahead and sign up. Another event that we're going to be doing is Live After 5. So we're really trying to get the businesses downtown to stay open later. So we're trying this new thing where once a month, the first Friday of each month, we're asking the businesses to stay open later after 5. Because most people say, after 5 o'clock, don't go downtown, everything's closed. So we're really trying to get people encouraged to come downtown first Friday of each month to visit these businesses. So tell your friends, if you guys want to come hang out, the first Friday of each month from May through October, the businesses will be open longer. And so for this to be a success, we really need people to kind of show up and be there to support the businesses. So that way they are encouraged to stay open later and hopefully get a nice nightlife for the city of Reedley. So you guys can help with that. Another event, the Reedley Chamber likes to go out to other communities and really promote our community in their towns. So one event that we do is the Kingsburg Swedish Days, and that's on May 15th. And that will be kind of the same thing where we will have a tent and we will be passing out information about Reedley. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up for that as well. Also that evening, I am part of the Reedley Rotary Club, and they are looking for volunteers for their auction. And that's going to be very much the same thing, similar to what we did for the Chamber Awards Gala. So if you enjoyed that experience, you have another opportunity on May 15th in the evening for that. And then another event in June is going to be the Big Hat Days in Clovis. So if you guys have ever been to that event, Reedley Chamber is going to have a booth there at their event and promoting Reedley and Clovis. So that's going to be June 12th and 13th. So if you'd like to participate, you can sign up for that as well. Some last minute housekeeping stuff is also going to be regarding applications. So obviously this is a 6-month program this year. Next year it'll be a full year program. Well, actually take that back. It's going to be from August through May next year. So it'll be fall and spring semesters for you guys. So if you enjoyed, kind of being a part of this year, you're welcome to come back. I will just have you do an application, so that way I know that you want to commit to next year. But I would also like your help to recruit new members and really grow the program. So I'll be sharing that with you as well through our email. I think that's pretty much all that I have. As I mentioned to some of you on Saturday, I'm really looking to grow the program because this year it was very much, we had presenters and you guys kind of sat there. But with kind of COVID, lessening and our ability to be in a room together, I would really like us to have more opportunities to have discussions and figure out what we want to do for the community, where you guys come up with the ideas. This year I kind of said these are the cleanup events we'll do, but I'm sure many of you have ideas. I think one of you mentioned possibly like graffiti removal or that type of programs. So there's a lot of different things that we can talk about in helping our community. So looking forward to doing that next year. That is all that I have on my list currently. Do you guys have any questions regarding the program or anything coming up? Okay, awesome. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and move forward. I want to introduce Ms. Chinayera Hardaman. She is with the Sierra Kings Healthcare District, and we've become good friends since she's come to Reedley, and she's doing some awesome work. I'm hoping that you can share a little bit about the history with Sierra Kings Healthcare District and kind of where we are today with the program. And obviously we were supposed to do some, I guess, volunteer work, handing out some stuff, but I guess I'll let you explain kind of what happened with that. But once again, let's give a round of applause for Ms. Chinayera.
Since you all are out there and I'm up here, I'm gonna take off this mask if that's okay. Wow, Eric, that's such an amazing list of things that these guys participate in. Do you all keep a running tab, a list of all the things that you're participating in with the chamber? Kind of, you know, what you did, which day it was, and you know, what kind of skills you were using. You guys do that? Okay, so listen, if I give you any advice today, it would be, you guys are doing things far above and beyond what other students your age are doing. And those things are important to communicate to colleges or vocational programs if you have interest in that after high school. And what's gonna happen is, and my son is in the 11th grade this year, he's going to 12th grade. What's gonna happen is around 11th, 12th grade, they're gonna start saying, fill out applications for scholarships, fill out applications for colleges and things like that. And you're gonna say, what did I do something? And it's not gonna be readily available to you, but if you just keep a list, when you get ready to apply for whatever it is you're gonna apply for, you can, even jobs, you'll have everything written down for you. So I really encourage you guys to do that. This is amazing what you're all participating in. And there's so many of them too, Eric. I mean, geez, good opportunity. So nonetheless, I'll get off my soapbox on that and introduce myself. My name is Chinayera Hardaman. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for the Sierra Kings Healthcare District. I'm gonna pause on Sierra Kings Healthcare District for a minute because I just wanna talk to you all a little bit about kind of where I come from and the steps that I took to be where I am today. How many of you all are from Reedley or right around here? Everybody? Right on, right on. Okay, so I'm from Los Angeles. I was born and raised in Carson, California. And you know, it was kind of a suburb of Los Angeles. And my parents were working class parents. My mother is a teacher, or was a teacher, she's retired. And my father worked in manufacturing. And so we didn't have a lot of money. But my parents had a lot of will. And they created will in us that says, I want you to do better than we did. And so went through, you know, K through 12. And then when it was time to graduate, of course, I told my parents, I said, you know, I think I'm just gonna take a year off and just find myself, right? And my mother, being a school teacher, said, no, you're gonna find yourself in college in the fall. And so I had applied to lots of schools, Northern California, Southern California, Central Valley. I didn't apply for anything outside of California just because I didn't have an interest to. But it ended up that I went to UC Davis. You guys ever heard of UC Davis? I ended up going to UC Davis for 4 years. I had dual degrees in sociology, law and society, and rhetoric and communication. I wanted to be an attorney, and not just any attorney. I wanted to be a litigator. Like, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so when I finished my 4 years, I applied for college, for law schools, and I didn't get into the law schools that I thought that were the caliber that I wanted. And again, all in California. I didn't open up the opportunities outside of California. And looking back, I kind of wish that I might have. So I ended up right next to Davis. Sacramento is the capital, right? I ended up leaving Davis and started working at the Capitol for different projects around child safety, child protective services, and things like that. And I quickly learned that in order to promote through the government chain, I needed a master's degree. I would promote faster. And so I hightailed it back down to Los Angeles, and I went to USC for 2 years, and I got a master's degree in public administration. And with that, having contacts in Northern California and Sacramento, I decided to go back up there and pursue my career. And so it was great. I mean, I was young and I was working and I had no kids, you know, nothing like that. So I had a lot of money at the time. It was just a good experience. But then I'll tell you guys this, because this happens sometimes in life. So then I had a sorority sister, and she said, Chinayera, I want you to meet my cousin. And I said, no. I know that trick. No, if he needs introductions, I don't want to meet him. And so I had a couple of relationships, you know, if you will, and they all were, you know. And so there came a point a couple years later where I said, okay, let me meet your cousin. Guess where her cousin was from? Any guesses? He was from Fresno. It was from Fresno. So that probably explains how I ended up from Los Angeles to Davis to Sacramento to Fresno. It was love that brought me here. I'd driven through the Central Valley so many times, but I never thought this would be home to me. But I tell you guys what I'll say about this is, oftentimes, and I've seen a lot of my husband's family members grow up, once they graduate high school, they immediately want to go to LA and they want to be models and actors and rappers and all that good stuff, right? Which is great. It's great to have ideas about what you want to be. But I will tell you all, there's so much right here in the Central Valley. And I can tell that you guys are movers and shakers. And so I'd encourage you guys to branch out, you know, even maybe outside of California. And then once you kind of create your career, you could come back into the Central Valley and really give back to folks that have given to you to make you who you are. So with that, that's kind of my story. Do you have any questions for me about anything that I shared? So what I'm going to share with you all now is about the district. So has anybody heard of First Five? You heard of First Five? You guys haven't seen those commercials. Talk, read, sing. It changes everything. Okay. So I was the founding director of First Five Madera County. I stayed there for about 20 some odd years, and then I started to just kind of peek at different job opportunities or experiences that I might want to pursue, because 20 years is a long time to be at one place. And so it ended up that the headhunter that the Sierra Kings Healthcare District had hired reached out to me and said, you know, I've got this position, do you have any interest? It's kind of along the same lines that you do. And so the rest is history. I've been here for a year now. I started on March 16th. Does anybody know why that's an important date?
Yeah.
Why?
The day the pandemic started.
Right. So I'm walking in with my box of stuff, you know, kind of going into my office, and everybody's walking out with their boxes of things because they're going to work from home. And so it's been, the pandemic has certainly kind of reinvented how I would have begun this job, but I can't complain. You know, we just kind of pivoted given the circumstances, and I think we're doing a pretty good job. So who has heard of the Sierra Kings Healthcare District? No? Not at all? What about when I say hospital? Does that ring any bells? So you remember the Sierra Kings Healthcare District owned and operated the hospital. Did you guys know that? Before Adventist Health did, we did. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the district. But first, there's prizes. I wanna know, when was the district formed? You guys got your smartphones, and the first person to tell me that wins a prize. Everybody loves prizes.
1940.
You said what?
If you got it, raise your hand.
All right, if you got it, I got a prize. See, these smartphones aren't all bad. When your parents say don't use your smartphone, sometimes they help. Yes,
Was it 1962?
good job.
Wow.
All right, so,
Yeah.
you know, there you go. Thank you guys for playing with me. I'm one that, I love to play games and prizes when I do things like this, just because nobody wants to just sit and listen. So, all right, so California healthcare districts, healthcare district law. There are 79 healthcare districts throughout the state of California. And they are strategically placed in more rural areas where there might be high need, maybe high poverty or things like that. So they're placed throughout the state of California, and one is right here in Reedley. We're the healthcare district of the Sierra Kings, and we target Parlier, Reedley, Miramonte, Dunlap, and Squaw Valley. So that's all of our jurisdictions. And so we have a five-member board, kind of the same way what you would see at the city council or at the school district. We've got a five-member board that's elected to kind of govern the district. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna do it? Things like that. As I mentioned, there's a five-member board, and I kind of described to you where we're located. You know, to the left, you'll see more Reedley and Parlier. And then we jump over Orange Cove, and I'm still researching that because I don't understand why. I have to be honest. And then we move over to Dunlap, Miramonte, and Squaw Valley. And those are the board members that are listed up there. And a couple of them were just elected in November with the elections. So the law really said that we could do a couple of things. Increase access to hospitals and other healthcare in rural and underserved areas. That's what I told you all. So some of the things that healthcare districts started off doing were operating hospitals, operating ambulance services, maybe operating substance abuse programs and things like that. I did a small stint with St. Agnes Medical Center, doing some research for them about the heart hospital that they were developing years ago. And one thing that I learned there is that hospitals tend to run in the red. They don't make a lot of money. In fact, they lose money. So really implementing a hospital means managing where's your losses and how do you protect against those losses. Well, the healthcare districts that were operating hospitals started running in the red more than they were running in the green. And so the Sierra Kings Healthcare District went to Adventist Health and says, would you like to buy this hospital from us? And Adventist Health says, yeah, we'll buy the hospital from you, or buy the business from you. We still own the hospital. We own the physical plant. And so what happened is they paid us rent each month that amounts to about $1 million per year. We use that $1 million to make grants, and those are the two things that I highlighted there. We make grants to the community around obesity, diabetes, and behavioral health care. And then we do other activities in the community to promote wellness. One of those activities is coming up shortly. It's Behavioral Health Awareness Month. So I just mentioned to you, we've got 3 priorities: obesity, diabetes, and behavioral health care, behavioral health. I want to take a deeper dive into the behavioral health piece because that's what our activity was going to be today, and I'll tell you guys what happened. So about behavioral health, here's another opportunity. Google, you can Google it or you can go to our website. What is behavioral health? Or you could, if you know, you can even take a shot at it. Yes, ma'am.
It says the term behavioral health is,
You want to speak up just a little bit?
it's the promotion of mental health.
Okay.
It's
All
the
right.
promotion of mental health and the treatment of mental and substance use disorders
Mm-hmm.
and those who experience or in recovery from these conditions. along
Right
with
on,
preventive
right on. Thank you very much.
services.
Give her a round of applause. Sheila. Thank you. All right. So here's the definition that I'm going to share with you today, which is consistent with what's your name?
Jennifer?
Jennifer just shared with us. It's the study of emotions, behaviors, and biology relating to a person's mental well-being and ability to function in everyday life. So sometimes there may be, different behavioral challenges that prevent you from being active in your life. Depression, anxiety, stress, things like that. And those things come and go for all of us. For all of us. We all experience that to some extent here or there. The challenge with it though is that for the longest, people talked about mental health as a bad thing. You've got a mental health problem. There's that stigma around it. Don't tell anybody, that you're having panic attacks. or anxiety. And what we're trying to do is bring to the forefront that it happens to all of us. I'm a breast cancer survivor, and when I went through my chemotherapy, my radiation, all those surgeries, I had panic attacks, right? So they're treating me for breast cancer, but they also treated me for the anxiety attacks and the panic attacks that I experienced. I don't mind sharing that with you all because I'm human, and it happens to a lot of people. So, behavioral health, as I just mentioned to you, some of the symptoms might be stress or depression or anxiety, relationship problems, grief over loss. Those are normal things that happen to people based upon their experiences in life. Sometimes they happen more to someone that's experienced trauma, right? Does anybody know what trauma is? I don't have any more gifts. Does anybody know what I mean by trauma? If you want to yell something out?
Like something severe that happened in the past, going back to it.
Yeah. So, sometimes there's instances where we might have grown up with domestic violence, right? And so we saw things and we heard things that stressed us out. And as we get older, maybe there's triggers that makes us have responses to something like that. There's also depression, anxiety, and then there's complex mental illnesses. And that's where you start talking about multiple personality disorders and things like that. But that's not the most common in behavioral health. What's more common are the symptoms that I listed here. What's less common are those complex illnesses that I just mentioned. And then there's barriers to getting help. One is the stigma. People say, I'm not going to a therapist. I don't want them to think I'm crazy, right? And so they don't get help. What happens if you have a health condition and you don't get help for it? It gets worse, right? And then often, you guys are good. Often you will see people then trying to self-medicate in order to take care of some of the things they're experiencing. So they say, some students your age might say, I'm just gonna smoke a cigarette to relax myself, right? And then there comes a point where they might say, okay, that's not enough. Maybe I'm gonna smoke some marijuana to relax myself. Oh, and then there's other drugs that you guys know about, and there's that self-medicating. Alcohol is another big one. The other barriers to getting help in terms of stigma is one, and then the other is availability of services. The community is talking more about behavioral health and mental health out loud more than they used to, but the service capacity has to catch up. So are there enough clinicians, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, are there enough of them to meet the need, right? And what we notice sometimes is some people do say, I think I need to talk to a clinician. And then they call, and what happens? I can see you in 4.5 months, right? There's not enough of them. So, then you already are afraid of the stigma. And now on top of that, you gotta wait 4.5 months. And what happens if you go untreated? What do we say? It gets worse. So one of the things that my district is working on is trying to see how do we build capacity for the community to really impact mental health or behavioral health in the community. So one thing I wanted to share with you all, there's a link between behavioral health and trauma. We just talked about that. But check out this data. 50% of people diagnosed with severe mental illnesses report child abuse. That trauma, right? About 50% of people experience that. 60% of adults who abuse substances report child abuse or neglect. Trauma, some kind of a trauma. 82% of people in residential treatment programs report histories of trauma. So that trauma can have lasting impacts if gone untreated. So, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Did you guys know that? Now you do. And I'm excited about it because we've got a partnership coming up with, did I put that on here? Yep, I did. We've got a partnership with lots of different agencies in the community to promote mental health awareness. One of those partnerships is with Kings Canyon Unified School District. Are you guys familiar with Parent Square and Student Square? Do you guys have access to it? It's through your phone, right?
Yeah.
So we've partnered with them, and John Campbell is going to be featuring some of these ads that I'm showing to you all on the Parent Square and Student Square. We're also buying lots of boosts on Instagram and on Facebook in order to impact the community that way. We've also got some partnerships with faith-based organizations to share these ads with them as well, because sometimes when you're struggling, if you belong to a church, you might say, let me go talk to my pastor or to my clergy about some of these things. Well, pastors and clergies aren't trained psychologists, right? So we want them to be able to recognize what you're presenting with and then help you in the immediate sense and then walk alongside you to benefit from services and supports in the community. So here's some of our ads. I'm curious to see if they speak to you or not. So that's one of for the public health awareness campaign. It says mental health breaks are okay. I just can see myself hanging around in the woods, no work, no kids, no cooking dinner. I have to take this home and show it to my husband, see if he lets me go. All right, it's okay to not be okay. In this, you'll see one person consoling another person. I've been seeing lots of commercials on television about it's called Whatever Gets You Talking, and it's basically just telling teens and young adults, ask, just say, hey dude, how you feeling? Or, seems like you've been down lately. And start that conversation with your friends, because sometimes they're not gonna just bust out and tell you that they are struggling with a breakup with a boyfriend or with a parent. So sometimes you just ask, you can text and say, hey, how's it going? You can ask, but it's okay for them to not be okay, and you can tell them that it's okay. It happens to the best of us at some point. Mental health is multi-generational. So sometimes there may have been something tragic and traumatic for, let's say, your mom and dad, right? And if they're not treated, it gets worse, right? So then while they're parenting you, there could be the potential for them doing things that they don't even recognize are causing the same type of trauma. That happens often. So this is one of the ads. We want to promote that it's multi-generational, and that means it's not just trying to fix one person in the family, it's trying to improve the family dynamic. And then, I'm not fluent in Spanish, so can somebody read this for me? Yes.
La aventura no mejorará hasta que te mejores.
All right, remind me what it means.
The adventure won't better itself until you better yourself.
Nice. So we're doing all of these ads. You did great. We're doing all of these ads that I just shared with you and more in English and in Spanish. And like I said, they're going to be sent out through the Parent Square. So your parents might see it and they might ask you questions. Or you might see it and you might want to click on the link that shows you different services and supports that are available to you. Or share it with a friend, right? That may have maybe just demonstrating some needs. And so here we are, the last slide. That right there that you see was going to be the door claims that you and I were going to distribute to the businesses in downtown. We want to put one of those in every business downtown, so that when people, and we want it to go on the door. You know how the door is a window, is clear. We want it to go there to just remind people it's okay to not be okay. And sometimes when you say that to somebody, they just exhale and say, thank you. Thank you for, reminding me that it's okay, that things might be difficult right now. So this was a little script that I had written for you guys to go out to the stores. And it was basically what you're gonna say is, I'm a member of the Junior Reedley Chamber. You're promoting Mental Health Awareness Month in May, and then you're asking them if you can place the claims. So let me tell you what happened to the claims. You guys ready for this? So we were working on the claims, everything was going well, and then as the CEO of my agency, I was noticing I could get claims online, right? You just Google and somebody will make it for you and they'll mail it right to you. But then I asked my assistant, I said, is there anybody local like in Reedley or Parlier or something like that can do this for us? And she said, yes. So we found a local business. And the only challenge that they had was they printed them already, but they have to dry. So they're gonna deliver them to us tomorrow morning. And so I'm sorry that you all won't be able to participate in this, but I still value the idea of shopping local. I mean, it's important. So that's it. Eric, any questions for me or conversation? Yes, ma'am.
Do you guys have programs to support people of color who want to get more into it? Because I feel like there's a huge low percentage of clinicians who are people of color. I feel like that is a problem for.
You're awesome. Thank you for the question. So I've been having conversations with Jerry Buckley. He's the president of the Reedley College. And one of the things that we're trying to negotiate is how can we start earlier in your education process to introduce you to jobs that you might be able to pursue, right? People just sometimes just say there's a doctor, there's a lawyer, but there's radiologists, there's neurologists, there's just so many different things in the health field that you're not necessarily introduced to. So what we're trying to do is start a pathway, and there currently are pathways for education, for engineering, and one more thing I can't think of, but there isn't a pathway for healthcare, right? So I've been working with Jerry and his team to see if we can fund a pathway for healthcare that starts in the junior high schools and helps you track into different maybe classes or internships or programs to help you find your way if you're interested in healthcare. And remember what I said at the beginning? What's awesome is if, a lot of times people graduate and they leave, right? They go do awesome things somewhere else. Well, we really needs in Parlier and the rest of my district, we need those folks to graduate and come back and offer those services. So yeah, we're trying. Excellent question.
I was gonna ask, a lot of us have social media. Is there anything we can do as far as sharing some of these messages and maybe getting a conversation started through our own links?
Right, that's an awesome suggestion, Eric. When you see those things come through on Parent Square, you can screenshot that puppy and put it up on your own, Facebook. You guys don't do Facebook, right? Instagram or Snapchat, right? See, I know, I've got a great son. And he just says, Mom, you're so old, you use Facebook. And I'm like, I don't understand Snapchat. It just doesn't make good sense to me. It doesn't. But you can totally do that and just put it out there for your friends. And you probably have a list of, 200, 300 friends. It might awaken something in somebody, right?
I don't know if they're able to share, but maybe if you share with me, then I can get in
The
images.
yes, I can.
Okay.
I can definitely do that as well. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Parent Square and Student Square, they are very effective, but do you have any plans to have like an on-campus presence? Whether it's just like posters around campus and different outlets for like, where students could speak to people on campus? Because I feel like a lot of students aren't aware of like that there's social workers on campus and psychologists.
Right. You just made a really good point, and we plan to do this year after year, and there may be an opportunity, Eric, for some partnerships where your junior chamber might be able to activate in person on campus. That's a really good suggestion. Right now, frankly, it's me and my assistant, so there's only so much, but
Going back to next year, we plan to expand our program as well, so I think if you join us again, let's have those conversations and make it a unit where you can be on the committee for that.
Because I know on campus, I think Reedley Middle College has it too. There's a program called No More, which is a domestic violence awareness program where they really focus on stuff like that.
yeah.
And I feel like if you were able to like communicate with them in a way, I feel like they could really get that out. Because I know at Reedley High School we have a bunch of different programs where we have like this thing called RHS Productions where every Friday we like release videos out to the students. And it would be really cool if we could just like get it out there. Because you're right, there is like a big stigma towards mental health.
Right.
And just normalizing the conversation with little stuff like that.
Yes. I'd love if if the junior chamber would help initiate that. I've been in conversations with John Campbell, and then there's a gentleman named Carlos Rizzo.
Oh, yeah, he's the no more person, yeah.
Yeah. So he's been also kind of informing the development of these ads and making sure that they go out through parents' wear and things like that. But quite frankly, students respond to other students,
Yeah.
right? And so you all being kind of activating something on campus during the month of May or something bigger, I'd want to get behind that, Eric. I really would.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, we're a grant maker, so we look for programs that we can invest in and make them reality. So I really want to get behind something like that if you guys are interested.
Yeah, and like I said, this is what we're about. Obviously, as I mentioned, it's difficult this year with COVID, but as we expand the program, we want to make these ideas come to fruition. And so
Right.
thank you for mentioning that.
I think you got a chairperson.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. So, I go to school in Fresno, and so mental health isn't as talked about over there. So I was wondering if you have any advice for introducing and promoting awareness of mental health.
In the Fresno area?
Yes.
That's a good question. I know there's a couple of groups that you can Google. There's NAMI. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
The National Association of Mental Illness. You might Google that and see what programs do exist in Fresno. I'm sure there are some that do exist. I'm just not familiar with them right away. The other is go to your counselor, your counselor on campus, and just say, I'm interested in getting more information and seeing, if they can make some warm handoffs for others. But I just don't know a lot about what they do in Fresno. I can tell you all about Madera County. I'm starting to be able to tell you about, Reedley, but I don't know a whole lot about Fresno Unified.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. All right, if no more, hopefully the time is okay.
Yeah, we have snacks too, right? So
Yes,
we'll
there's
have it. Just wanted to say, if it's okay with you, I will share your contact information. Obviously, they have some great questions and something they may think of later. But I think it's just a wonderful connection, and as you mentioned, you guys really have an impact on the other students in your schools, and so I think whatever we can do to kind of get the word out. There's a lot of people that deal with mental health issues, and so it's really big, especially during the whole COVID time.
Yes,
That has
you
really
had to
affected a lot of
isolate,
people.
all that isolation.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just wanted to go back on how they asked about getting the flyers. Would it be okay if we got a couple of those, you call them clings, right?
So what they were gonna be is window clings that could
Yeah.
go into the window.
Something so we could post up at our schools. I know middle college, really high school, so big, you probably need a couple more there, but at the middle college, such a small school, you'd only need a couple, maybe 5 or maybe 10, of those flyers. That'd be
So-
neat to post around campus
So-
for sure.
Are you gonna give him my email?
So, well, I can give you email. If not, we can also have some at the office, and if they want to pick them up.
That's
there.
great. That's
Yeah.
great. I'll deliver some to you.
Okay.
That'd be
Thank
awesome.
you.
So I'll email everyone, and then I'll let you know when I have them. and
Awesome.
you can pick some up.
Yeah.
Anyone
Anything
else?
Again, as I've begun my conversation with you all about how impressed I am with the work that you're doing, I'm gonna end that conversation also by saying, you guys are doing things far beyond what a lot of other students your age are doing. Be proud of that, grow that. If you've got interest in city council, this is a good place for you to start right here. If you've got interest in being a healthcare provider, this is also a good place to start. Write down all those things that you're doing with Eric. I mean, he read off so many of those volunteer things that if you're participating in those, make sure you write them down. It's gonna build your resume, it's gonna build your college application or vocational application. It's just a good thing to keep. So not only doing this is good, but making sure you capture it someplace so that you can toot your own horn.
And as a reminder, I know some of you guys have volunteer hours that you need signed off, so please let me know if you need an email or whatever I need to do to clear you guys off for those hours. And then also, if you ever need like a letter of recommendation or anything like that, be sure to let me know. So,
Awesome, thank
well,
you, Eric.
Thank you. Let's give Shinayera a Shinayera, it was nice nice enough to bring some snacks. So as you guys walk out, please grab. I think we're like some Capri Suns, I think, and some fishy. So grab some
I
as
told
you
you
go.
I'm an 11th grader. That's what he
It's a little bit early. Just a reminder, I'm going to email you guys quite a few things. So if you guys will take the time when you have time, I know it's getting busy right now, but just definitely wants to make sure that we get applications out for next year's program. And if you guys have any friends that you'd like to invite to be a part of the program, please get those applications to them. And then also planning for our last meeting this semester at the Reedley Museum. And I'll try to figure out what we're going to do for our party. But I just want to thank you guys for everything you've done, and still lots of opportunities to volunteer.